The US are trying to put pressure on India in some matters, for example, when it comes to cooperation with Russia on some tracks, but everyone has understood that putting pressure on Narendra Modi, that has the largest population in the world, is detrimental for international relations and for bilateral relations.
For years, Washington has had one message to New Delhi: reduce your dependence on Russia, buy less Russian oil, buy fewer Russian weapons, and gradually move away from Moscow. But now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has delivered a very public response. And in that response, he did two things. He praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he effectively told the West that pressuring India is a losing strategy. Speaking during an interaction with heads of global news agencies, Putin went out of his way to highlight India's rise, not just as an economy, but as an independent power, a country that makes its own decisions, and a country that cannot be pushed around.
Another thing is that the US are trying to put pressure on India in some matters, for example, when it comes to cooperation with Russia on some tracks, but everyone has understood that putting pressure on Narendra Modi, that has the largest population in the world, is detrimental for international relations and for bilateral relations. It doesn't matter where this pressure comes from. We don't see any negative consequences. I think that we can come to an agreement with all the participants of this process. And as of today, there, I would say, are no serious repercussions emanating from this state of affairs. We're developing our ties with India and will continue doing that, and we deem India to be a very reliable partner.
That was not a casual remark, because the comment comes at a time when the United States has once again stepped up pressure over India's ties with Russia. Just days ago, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio renewed criticism of countries continuing to buy Russian oil. Washington's broader objective remains the same: reduce Moscow's revenue, limit Russia's economic options, and isolate it diplomatically wherever possible. But India has consistently refused to play that game. New Delhi's position has been simple. Its foreign policy will be guided by Indian interests, not by demands from Washington, not by demands from Moscow, and not by demands from anyone else. Putin appears to understand that reality. In fact, he made a point of saying that India developing relations with the United States does not create a problem for Russia. That's an important distinction, because many analysts often frame the world as a choice: America or Russia, one bloc or another. But India has spent the last several years proving that it doesn't see the world that way.
We are not in 22, we are not in 23, we are not even in 25. So many things are changing, and so many of us are doing our calculations and recalculations. It's important for us to say what are the touch points, what are the common grounds, where is it we can strengthen each other. We would not, we talk to each other quite often. We would not necessarily agree on everything, but I do believe that by doing that, and if there is an inclination to find common ground and overlaps, that would happen. But if the bottom line of your question is, would I remain independent-minded and make my decisions, and would I make choices which sometimes may not agree with your thinking or his thinking or somebody else's thinking out there? Yes, it can happen.
Today, India is a member of the Quad with the United States, Japan, and Australia. It conducts major military exercises with Western partners. It is one of Washington's most important strategic partners in the Indo-Pacific. And yet, it continues to maintain deep ties with Russia. It buys Russian energy, it operates Russian-origin military equipment, and it continues to engage Moscow through platforms like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Putin's remarks are effectively an acknowledgement of that reality. Russia knows India is not choosing sides, and Moscow appears increasingly comfortable with that. That is also why he described India as a reliable partner. There is another reason why Putin's comments matter. The economic relationship between the two countries is expanding rapidly. Russia has become one of India's largest energy suppliers. Trade between the two countries has surged dramatically since the Ukraine conflict began, and Putin says he believes bilateral trade could soon touch the $100 billion mark. Discounted Russian crude, expanding economic links, and growing strategic cooperation have transformed the relationship. The timing is also notable, because Putin is expected to travel to New Delhi in September for the BRICS summit. That visit will come less than a year after his previous India visit, and it will provide another opportunity for both countries to signal that their relationship remains intact despite enormous geopolitical turbulence. And that, perhaps, is the bigger takeaway from Putin's remarks. This was not merely praise for Narendra Modi. It was a recognition of India's growing strategic weight. A country large enough to engage Washington, large enough to engage Moscow, and confident enough to say no when either side tries to dictate terms. For years, major powers expected countries to choose camps. India's message has been different. Engage everyone, align with no one completely, and keep national interest above all else. Moscow has accepted that reality. The question is whether Washington has.
If they had a nuclear weapon,
The old rules are breaking. Alliances are shifting.
Apologize again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Wars are redrawing maps. Oil routes can shake economies overnight. One election in America can impact markets in Mumbai.
no tax on tips.
One move by China can alter the balance in Asia. One conflict in West Asia can hit every Indian household. This is no longer a distant story. This is our story. Your story. Because for the first time in decades, India is not watching from the sidelines. India is rising. India is negotiating. India is balancing rivals. India is building military strength. India is shaping trade routes. India is becoming central to the new global order. And yet, most global news is still told through someone else's lens. Washington's lens, Beijing's lens, London's lens. But where is India's lens? Where is the platform that explains the world? From our perspective, through India's eyes, from Neighborhood Watch to the biggest global stories that matter to you. Why tensions in the Taiwan Strait matter to India. How one move by China can affect India's security. What turmoil in Pakistan means for regional stability. How Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan shape India's neighborhood. Why oil choke points can hit your wallet. How wars abroad can reshape India's security. This is not noise. This is not shouting. This is not recycled headlines. This is sharp, intelligent storytelling. Daily explainers. War room analysis. Strategic conversations. Because news is everywhere. But perspective is rare, and in the age of confusion, clarity is power. Axis is for the audience that wants more than headlines. The axis of global power is shifting. India is at the center of that shift. It's time the world was explained accordingly. To understand the world through India's strategic lens. Subscribe now.
Of defining moments and legendary figures. Enjoying the journey with us?